Hello, everyone. So good to see some new faces, and we're delighted to have the president-elect from the Sunrise Rotary joining us today. Thank you. And I hope everyone's staying cool some of the day. If you're outside, that might be impossible, huh? But hey, it is summertime and there are a lot of indoor activities. And if you're outdoors, drink a lot of water, right? Well, it's good to see everyone. And we're going to have our president-elect, Shane Webb, lead us in prayer. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you. Y'all, will you join with me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have given to us. Lord, we thank you for this club. We thank you for the individuals that are dedicated to serving this community. God, we ask for your help as we continue to try to be a blessing to the community around us. Bless the food that we're eating. Bless the work that we do. And God, today we lift up in our prayers Lindy, who's always faithful to be here helping our club. Lord, she's in the hospital. So we ask for your tender care and mercy on her as she struggles with her health. So we ask that your healing hand would be upon her. Holy God, keep each and every one of us safe and bring us back together again next week for food, fun, and fellowship. It is in your holy name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Shane. I'm just going to pause for a moment and recognize, I believe I saw Rick Lindsay on Zoom with us. Hey, Rick, so good to see you. Well, we look forward to seeing you back, but we definitely want you to take good care of yourself and not rush it and have 20 more years of bicycle riding and fun. Thank you. It's always good to see everyone that we have joining us on Zoom. Thank you. And now we will go with our Pledge of Allegiance, and Laura Manning will help us with that. Thank you, Laura. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, Star Spangled Banner. Was so proudly we held from the dawn's last week. Shots and bright stars through the perilous sky. All around what we watched was the reality of the rocket's red flag, of our first evening air. They grew through the night, and our fight was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave? Good job. Excellent. At this time, Tracy Love, our secretary, will give us the introduction of guests. Thank you, Tracy. Do you need a microphone? Can everyone hear her? Okay.
You try that voice.
Oh.
From the Chamber of Commerce.
Cindy Porter,
Yes.
Yes, Linda, they can't hear it on that unless you use the microphone.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No, we just wanted to come in. One of the things we talked with Max to plant about is using the resources and teaming our groups together. And there are so many opportunities for service in our community that a group may not want to take on this event as your service, but if 2 or 3 people in this club and 2 or 3 people in the other club would like to do it together, that becomes Rotary event. And we would love to do some socials with you and spend time with other Rotarians that we may not see once a week. So we're hoping, at least starting this year, definitely throughout next year, for this just to be a beginning of a new, coming together.
Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to, At this time, we're going to highlight a guest member, and today it is our very, hardworking, consistent, showing up secretary, which I'm very thankful for, Tracy Love.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to see you all. If you don't know, I am the executive director of the Park South YMCA in Dallas, as well as the YMCA Serving Irving, formerly known as our Irving YMCA. I have the privilege of being a part of Rotary because of 2 people. One in particular, but 2 very important people that are part of this club was also and still is a part of our board with the Irving YMCA, and that is Rick Lindsay and Robert. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about my Rotary experience. So I come from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I've heard about Rotary, but never really, participated in any other type of service group. So I moved here to Dallas and worked at another YMCA, Town North YMCA, for about 1.5 years. And then I was blessed with the opportunity to interview for the Irving executive director position. And during my interview process, someone in this room that's sitting on my left side, I won't say his name, but during my interview process, I knew that he had been very active in the Rotary, and past executive directors were very active in Rotary Club here. And so I asked him, what was the importance of, or how important was the Rotary as it relates to the Irving YMCA, and how important was it for the executive director to be a part of Rotary? And he looked at me and he said, in 18 years, there have not been an executive director at the Irving YMCA that has not been a part of Rotary. So I knew right then that it was very important for me to have a presence in Rotary, but it's also been a blessing. Thank you, Robert, for doing that. I hope that you would continue to push other executive directors and other people in this community to be a part of Rotary, but it truly has been a blessing. The relationships that I've built here and with also organizations that I've had the opportunity to build by being the executive director of the Irving YMCA has been tremendous, especially as we're revamping how we're serving the Irving community since our facility has closed. The relationships here is what keeps us relevant in our community. So thank you so much. Thank you for making Irving, to me, smaller, because Irving really is a big city. I'm from Kannapolis, North Carolina, which is about this big. So Irving is really big, but you guys make it smaller and tangible. So I really appreciate you all for doing that and welcoming me in. But Rotary is, I'm so proud to be a part, and I'm grateful to be here today. So thank you.
But I believe the feelings are mutual. We're very thankful to have you. Okay, before we have the introduction of guests, a couple of things I wanted to mention. I have a thank you card from Elaine, and I'm going to pass that around, and everyone can just pass it on. It's very sweet. Also, I received a communication from Irving Cares, and they're having a food drive, and they were encouraging us to help out. So I was thinking that maybe next Thursday, when you attend Rotary, and I hope all of you are here, that you could bring a sack or a box of canned goods or, you know, items that have shelf life, and we could have Irving Care come by and pick that up. So if you're in favor of doing that, a raise of hand, please. Thank you. So next Thursday, everyone, please bring something that we can help the food drive with, and we'll hopefully make a large contribution, and I know it will be appreciated. Okay, thank you. At this time, Ryan will introduce our guest speaker, which we're delighted to hear all the good things happening. Thank you.
Slow clap. I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate it. So we're all drawn to certain things, right? For me, I'm drawn to leadership and enthusiasm. And so as I saw Mara's email about this speaker, you can imagine how excited I was to meet Beth Bowman because of the descriptions and the accomplishments she's had. And what I love about great leaders is they create a clear vision for their teams. And so after 17 years with the Irving Chamber of Commerce, you can see the progression of her career, that there's a couple things that are very clear to her and that she'll share with us today. But the three things that stood out was creating, advancing, and promoting. And having a clear vision like that gets people excited and inspired behind that. And so, without further ado, I want to introduce our speaker today, Beth Bowman.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So I want to thank Ron for the introduction. I have to thank my colleague who runs our Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Convention Center, and Visit Irving, Mara Gass, for the invitation. I shared with Mara, when I grow up, I'd like to be like Mara. So I'm trying every day, y'all. But thank you, Mara, for the invitation. And I noticed that our one of our past chairman of the chamber, and obviously Rotarian, Rick Lindsay, is joining us via Zoom. So I want to digitally say hello to Rick and thank him for encouraging the chamber to be engaged with Rotary. So today I'm going to just share with many of you great news on the legislative front, some exciting economic development news. And Ryan, I appreciate you passing out just a little factoid, quick fact cards that you can share with your neighbors and colleagues of all the great things that are happening right here at home in Irving-Las Colinas. But before I begin, I want to make sure that everybody understands your Irving-Las Colinas Chamber, who we are, how we function, our mission, our vision. As I have the pleasure to serve as the president and CEO, I also have a board that I report to. So our board chairman, Sam Reed, he's the owner of Alpha Graphics Irving-Las Colinas. He leads our 56-member board of directors. I have a lot of bosses. I was talking to Dr. Parr about that just a few moments ago. And really, these are the individuals that are establishing our direction. I have the privilege to lead the team that's executing their direction. And together, we're continuing to advance our mission. So with that, I just want to share, and it was mentioned earlier, next slide, please. So you can see our vision and our mission. This is the team really behind that, the faces of the chamber, the community. So we pride ourselves on being representative of the community. We are a diverse team in so many aspects, but really what we have the privilege to do every day is create, advance, and promote economic development in our community for our member investors, including our community and their residents. So I want to thank many of my colleagues for day in and day out, especially through this public health pandemic, choosing to remain committed to our organization's commitment in the Irving-Las Colinas community. This is an organization chart. So I just wanted to share with you how, from a staff perspective, we're structured. I report up to the board, and obviously the board is representative of our member investors. So our functions, areas of focus, that day in and day out, we spend time working through. Powering Progress is our existing strategic plan. We are entering year 4, October 1 of our 5-year strategic plan. So we will start to have the discussion of what do the next 5-10 years look like for business industry in Irving-Las Colinas. And if anybody has a crystal ball or has direct access to higher power, we would love to know. One thing we can assure you is it continues to be very fluid. I'm often asked by our mayor and council or other stakeholders, business owners that are counting on B2C interaction, customers coming into their doors, when are employees returning to work? When are they reofficing? Well, first and foremost, employees have been continuing to work. Many of them on the front lines, especially our healthcare heroes. We're so thankful for them keeping our community healthy. But every company is a little bit different. And every day we learn, our companies are reofficing at their pace, how they view is best for the safety of their workforce and the community. And some of our companies have not stopped reofficing, right? If you're in manufacturing, it's hard to do that job remotely. We're also seeing that there's an opportunity for hiring. Many of our companies throughout the Irving-Las Colinas community are hiring. They're looking for quality talent. So if you know of anyone that is looking for a job, I want to thank Mara for working with our congressional leadership, and our team had the pleasure to work to host a job fair for the region right here at home in Irving. There are quality job opportunities out there, and we would love to get our residents connected with opportunities that are right for them. Within Powering Progress, we really focus on 4 areas, as you can see here: people, place, position, and impact. So the people, place, and position really focuses externally on how we're driving opportunities, and the impact is really more internally as an organization. This strategic plan is executed, next slide, by our committees of the board. It's really where the work gets done, and our staff has the pleasure to be liaisons to those committees. We have many opportunities to work within our community, and many requests that come in, and we always want to say yes. But we really have to reflect on, we're a small but mighty team, or as I like to say, a 5-star team. And we always reflect, is it mission focused? How does it serve our member investors? And how does it serve our community, especially around Powering Progress? So the next slide, you can see how the 4 areas of people, place, position, and impact, how they get executed through our various committees within our organization. So I just wanted to show you a visual of how our chamber is structured and the great work we're doing. The next slide really calls out the results in which we are driving as a community in terms of our outreach to businesses, jobs that we have created or retained, professional development, investing in our workforce at the chamber, and then the impact of the organization as a whole. Very important for us to retain our accreditation as an industry. So just wanted to share with you some of those numbers of how we're tracking our success. There is a perception out there, that the chamber is, a place that you have coffee or come together for fellowship. And I always say yes, and it's so much more. So at the chamber, we are day in and day out able to help families put food on the table by making sure there's a job for them. help our community by making sure the commercial tax base remains and grows so our residents can have a high quality of life at a really competitive rate. And our job is never over. Mara and I have the privilege to work together with mayor and council, our city manager, Chris Hillman, our friends at the LCA, Hammond Perot, and day in and day out, we are trying to make sure that our office buildings are full, our vacant land spaces are primed for development, and that our businesses that are here are remaining here and expanding. So I want to switch a little bit and focus on legislative affairs during the 87th session. So definitely, it's been an interesting session. Every session kind of has its own theme or takeaways. I would just encourage each of you to continue to engage with your elected officials. They want to hear from you. You're their constituents. They represent you. On the chamber side, we really focused on economic development, higher education, transportation, water, and health care. Those are kind of the overarching areas. You can go to the next slide, and you can just keep flipping through these. We had an 85% success rate as related to our legislative priorities. On economic development, we were able to secure about $100 million in the enterprise fund. Irving is the largest user of that fund. So that's state dollars coming back into our community, which is really exciting news. However, we did have one of our economic development tools, Chapter 313, that was not reauthorized. We are working together with our stakeholders across the state to make sure we have a tool similar in nature, although it might need to be tweaked, to make sure we're remaining competitive nationally as economic development continues to be a priority. So in terms of workforce and education, we wanted to make sure to increase funding for the skills development program and maintain the skills development fund grants to improve workforce training. We also wanted to make sure to support broadband access for all Texans. So if this pandemic taught us anything, making sure that we're able to be connected at home, in school, in our libraries, in our parks is very important, but that infrastructure is extremely costly. So we're very supportive of HB3, which had passed. In terms of healthcare, we want to make sure that all Texans, Irvingites, residents within Las Colinas have access to increased coverage for those that are uninsured. We have some more work to do related to this item, but I think we're chipping away and confident that in the 88th session or 89th, we might have more progress there. Also higher education, as I shared earlier, making sure that we were supporting the Texas Equalization Grant Program is very important. Transportation, I always share all roads lead to, from, throughout Irving within the North Texas region. So I really thank Mayor Stouffer and the council that's seated today and those that have been seated prior. Irving is definitely a leader as it comes to transportation and infrastructure and making sure that our roads are improved, our current, and also the infrastructure underneath the roads, our water, our sewer, our broadband is also current as our community continues to grow. So as I wrap up the legislative front, one thing that I can share with you, it's going to continue to be an interesting journey. We are in a special session, and one thing I always like to share is Governor Abbott is able to call unlimited special sessions. So we're really focused on making sure that throughout the state of Texas, that we continue to have leadership that is complementing and representing what business industry wants, which at the end of the day is really consistency and an opportunity where they can align with politics, where they can align with policies, but not necessarily have to referee the politics, which is just a very interesting journey. So our team, we do have 2 lobbyists that are in Austin, amplifying the voice of our member investors and being an extension of our business community. So in addition to, next slide, the legislative perspective, I also want to just provide you this background and this snapshot of our workforce, our businesses. So this slide represents, this is Irving, and we should all be proud in which the community that we reside. We are highly respected nationally, internationally. Our team had the pleasure to host the president of Panama in his presidential delegation a couple weeks ago, right here in Irving. I think it's the first time that the president of Panama has come home to Irving, or as Mara likes to stay and leave, a head in a bed, many heads in beds, and then moved on to our partners at the state and met with the Texas Economic Development Corporation, again, with the emphasis of continuing to support trade. So switching gears, we've covered legislative affairs. I'm happy to take questions at the end of the presentation related to this. I want to transition into economic development, and there's so many exciting opportunities to talk about here. Many of you know we're known as the headquarters of headquarters. We've worked really hard to retain that, but the brands that you see on this slide are the reason we're known as the headquarters of the headquarters. So day in and day out, companies are making real estate decisions, business decisions. They want to be in a central location. They want to be in a location where they're going to be able to make their own choices that are best for their workforce, and they want to have access to the global economy. The great news is Irving, Texas checks all of those boxes. So we're often at the table. Our goal is to turn those table conversation into prospects, those prospects into leads, those leads into wins, and those wins into companies that each of you in this room get to work for or meet throughout the day, or are members of your church, and at the end of the day, integrate back into the community. Just a snapshot of some of the Irving by the numbers. So we've got access to about 3.3 million skilled workers within a 30-minute commute. We want to make sure those workers are inspired to get back to work. Those that might have had a shift in employment during the pandemic. Hospitality in our community is a top industry. It's one of the hardest hit industries. So I always encourage, if you can, please support our restaurants, go in and dine or take your meal home. Or if you are considering a vacation, consider a staycation and stay at many of our properties here locally. About a third of the airport, DFW International Airport, which is our economic engine, resides within the city of Irving. So as you know, the airport is owned by 2 cities, Dallas and Fort Worth. And then the city of Irving has the pleasure to be one of 4 host communities, Irving, Grapevine, Euless, and Capel. We talked on transportation and infrastructure earlier. Next slide. So you can see the community's investment. Each of you as Irving residents chose to invest into DART. And to have that transportation option is really critical for companies today that are looking to offer multimodal transportation opportunities for their workforce. Earlier this year, we were able to digitally celebrate the opening of the 6th station along the Orange Line, the station at Hidden Ridge. And then we look forward to later that deferred station at the former stadium site. Some of our executives, Alvaro Lupe, who's the president and CEO of Avocados from Mexico, really calls Irving the 10-minute life. So he is one of our core customers. And really what he shared is throughout his day in Irving, he can really do anything in 10 minutes. So if it's to go to the gym or go to the grocery store, go to church, take his kids to school, be able to hop on a plane to get to other sites, nationally or internationally that he needs to get to. He's really helped us cultivate and amplify. In Irving, you really have the beauty of having the 10-minute life. And we believe that it's a testament to the amenities and the attributes within our community. As we look at this past fiscal year, so this is starting October 1 into really today, so July 1st. These are some of the brands. I was talking earlier with backfilling the towers at William Square and being able to work with our friends at Hillwood to bring Caterpillar home to Irving. So right now they're looking to move some of their employees here and taking down space at the Tower of William Square. We have team members through a contractual relationship with our partners at the city. So many of y'all know for about the past 18 years, we've had a public-private partnership with the city of Irving. So Irving does things a little bit differently. They want business industry talking to business industry, right? Typically business doesn't trust government. So when companies are looking to make major investments, they want to make sure that the chamber's talking to the business, and then the chamber, we have a privilege to be the conduit to bring them in to meet the other stakeholders and partners that are going to be responsible for aiding their success in Irving and integrating them into the community. But I have colleagues that day in and day out, they spend their time turning over leads, knocking on doors, hitting our target markets. We are looking and have been on the road more lately than we have in the past year. For those businesses that are looking to be in a location, as I shared earlier today. So today we have just over 100 prospects in our pipeline. So these are companies that are considering relocating to Irving, and our team is actively looking to turn those into wins. Here's a snapshot of just what our customers are saying. And the previous slide was really our retention expansion one. So if you're at the hard corner of Las Colinas Boulevard and O'Connor, you're starting to see dirt turn. That's Christus Healthcare. They have committed to about 400,000 square feet in Irving. So we're able to keep them and expand them here at home, which is a great win. Their associates are authentically committed to our community and look forward to continue to be engaged. It's really awesome to sit in our office and see dirt turning. So we can't wait for that project to go vertical and ultimately cut the ribbon and welcome them into their new home. So don't listen to us. We are just the paid staff, right? But listen to our customers. And on the previous slide, you can see what some of our executives are saying about our community. If you'll go back, I think it's really important for our community to realize Irving, Texas is the place to do business and so much more. You know, it's a community where, as Alvaro said, you can have that 10-minute life. You can have access to various cultures, a community that respects different cultures and is willing to have crucial conversations around that for an understanding, with the ability to work together to make our community better. Also, I just want to share in the next slide, you know, a lot of you see our community in the headlines, which is incredible. So these are just some of the headlines, and I like to place out, you know, our friends in Kansas City, right? Kansas City loses Corey Hospitality Office to a city known as the headquarters of headquarters. Y'all, that's Irving, Texas. So as I just close, I really encourage each of you to do two things. First and foremost, be informed. Please use the chamber. You have an open invitation to call us and ask us any question. But also be engaged. So definitely being a Rotarian is the first step. And so many of you, I look at Patty and others, Kathy, I mean, we're continuing to lead your legacy and make the community better than we found it. And I thank you for y'all's leadership. Our small businesses are our backbone in our community. They need our help. So we continue to provide resources to them. We've been a part of what we call a small business blitz. especially during the pandemic, this was important. We went out to their offices and left resource boxes for each of them to make sure they knew the chamber was behind them, the community was behind them, and to really encourage them to hold on and continue to keep their employees on their payroll. We are not able to do this alone. We are able to do this because of the businesses that commit to our mission, provide us leadership to serve on our board to help drive our mission and our strategic plan. But there are many other stakeholders, and you could see the brands on the next slide, the logos, excuse me, that help us accomplish our mission. And for that, we're very thankful. But I want to share, big shout out to our 5-star team at the chamber, our partners at the city under the leadership of City Manager Chris Hillman, Mara Gass and her team at the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Irving, and Hammond Pro and his team at LCA. These are the teams that are day in and day out constantly working together so we can come to the table, pull up the red tape, and roll out the red carpet for our customers. With that, I'm happy to take any questions. I thank y'all again so much for inviting me to be here today. And thank you for making Irving the 10-minute life, the headquarters of headquarters, the place where a business can have a local address and global access. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir. So the question was, now that COVID has come, settled down, might be coming back, what volume of inquiries are we getting related to companies considering Irving, Texas? Our volume of inquiries is rapid. It's challenging for the team to keep up. Obviously, everybody wants everything yesterday. And we are wanting to make sure that the companies that are interested in our community are in line with our economic development strategic plan that we worked on with our partners at the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. But I was sharing earlier, the best days in Irving are ahead of us. The inquiries, the interest, we are extremely well positioned. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Beth, congratulations on the work that you and your staff are doing. Tremendous undertaking every day. And really good job on the vision. So can you briefly summarize what chapter 313 is? And then explain whether its inspirations may have any impact on your ability to draw business.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Parra. So and thank you for the accolades for the great work that our team's done. His question was around chapter 313, and with that resource expiring, how will it impact our ability to recruit? So I will just share with you, in Irving, Texas, 313, first of all, is a mechanism in which school districts are able to participate in economic development and providing tax abatements for companies historically with significantly large infrastructure investments into communities, which I think is a great win, right? At the end of the day, the community is going to receive more tax dollars into their community. The school districts are just choosing to share some of that. So there's no giving away. It's a sharing of something new that you didn't already have. I think that's very important for everybody to understand. In Irving, Texas, the 5 school districts we have the pleasure to work with, no one is taking advantage of chapter 313. So some of it is due to the limitation in land opportunity that we have in our community. So a lot of these large capital projects are looking for hundreds to thousands of acreage. But I will share, as we look at it from a state perspective and our ability to be competitive, our low-hanging fruit, our competitors throughout the US are actively recruiting into their communities, and that's very concerning. So any tool within economic development that is removed from our ability to do our job hurts Texas. So we have to find a way and a balance that is a win-win on all sides. The school district, for business industry to choose to continue to make investments in communities, to come to the table for us to continue to be the best business climate. If that answers your question and was explained in a way that everybody understood. Yes, ma'am, Mara.
I would love for you to share how long it took for the Christmas deal to come together, so that everybody understands all the moving pieces and everything that happened.
Yeah, so thank you, Mara, for your question. Her question was for me to walk through the timeline on the ability to retain and expand Christus right here at home in Irving, Texas. First and foremost, economic development projects, the highlights that you saw on one of the ending slides, you know, by the time a project is announced, individuals like myself or City Manager Hillman or Mayor or Mara or Hammond, we are like beyond to the next project, right? It's really a community celebration. As we reflect back on the Christus project, you know, we've had the pleasure to work with that company for about 12 years. They consolidated operations throughout the state of Texas and determined to call Irving, Texas home. Their board, their officer leadership was fully committed to Irving. But I will share, we definitely had some hurdles to overcome because Christus as an employer, everybody wants in their community. So we had a lot of our competitors, you know, throughout the state that were offering really creative opportunities where the board had a fiduciary responsibility to look at, where the executives needed to explore those options. So there were moments where we were concerned. But as we look at the end of the day, selecting Irving-Las Colinas to be their home, setting up their roots, as their CEO, Ernie Saldu, shared, you know, they were leasing space, but now with their commitment to the building is they're really establishing their roots right here at home in Irving-Las Colinas. And we get the benefit of having their associates and their mission continuing to positively impact our community. Long answer to a quick response, 4.5 years. Four and a half years. And it often starts with, we're out of space, we're looking at opportunities. So we are in the hurry up and wait game often. I need this information yesterday, and our team continues to work projects along the way at the end of the day to where communities can celebrate and drive by and see some cranes, or as Mayor Stouffer likes to call our Texas birds, in the air. And also it's important to thank the Patel family and State Bank of Texas. Without them, without mayor and council, this project wouldn't have gotten done. So we were the team, Mara, myself, Hammond, we had the opportunity to be the conduit to really make sure Christus and their associates stayed right here at home in Irving. Any other questions? All right, thank y'all.
And I'm sure Beth will be around for anyone else that had a question since we're out of time. But at this time, we'll have our treasurer, David Harris, give us the four-way test. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, and the meeting is adjourned.